Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What is going on? What is going on? Monday, March 9th. What do you guys need? You want a cup of coffee? I got you. You need some tea? I got you. What the hell are we drinking this morning? Just tell me what you guys want. Want a pastry? Let's get a couple pastries back here. Run an entire coffee shop. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Good vibes on this Monday. I got to be honest with everybody. Hey, Lakers get a nice win, a signature win. Maybe that kind of changes the entire vibe of the show. I don't know if it does, because post-game, everybody wanted to trade LeBron. Guys, the trade deadline's done. You can't trade him. So you got to get rid of this guy. All right, just relax. Let's enjoy that win for a quick second. All right, appreciate you guys being here wherever you are. Obviously, a lot of our listeners on this show is on YouTube. So shout out to everybody on YouTube. Anybody here on X, on Facebook, thank you for being here as well. We got a busy show today, packed show. Lakers obviously get the win yesterday in the afternoon against the New York Knicks. Had a win against the Pacers on Friday. A lot of good angles, got a lot of good topics. Was at the game yesterday, so enjoyed being at the game yesterday. It's kind of nice to... Hadn't been to a game in a while, so always nice to get back in there. Got to be honest with everybody. Lakers kind of make it easy. I put in submitted a media credential. It was taken care of. So it was phenomenal to be there at the game. We got a lot of topics to get into, as you guys can tell right here. Of course, the comments. I encourage as many people as possible. You got comments, thoughts, anything you guys want to put in as far as your thoughts or any angles that you think are good for the entire show, please feel free to do so. And we'll certainly have a solid 1 hour here. Okay, let me kind of start off by giving everybody a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today, and we could take it from there. All right, let's see what we have here. Let me just double check. All right, all the comments are coming in. We're live. Okay, we're good to go. Here are some of the topics I think we could hit on. Obviously, the Lakers' big win against the New York Knicks. So it's really been a long time since the Lakers have had a signature win. And they're going to have a lot of opportunities here over the next week or so, really over the next 2 weeks, where if you do want to change the narrative, this is going to be part of the conversation, is you need good quality wins. They had a really good quality win yesterday against the Knicks. So we got a lot of angles that we could take on in regards to that. So I'm looking forward to kind of breaking down all those different angles. Austin Reaves, I think, is a topic from yesterday's game, because one of the things that I know I've said on this show is that I think the guy he's not aggressive enough. I think he's too unselfish. I think he's standing around too much. He's way too talented to be standing around the way he has been. How come you can't get that player that you had earlier in the season with Austin Reaves? Pregame, I got a chance to ask JJ Redick that exact question. So I'll give you guys an idea what he said pregame and then how obviously things played out after the game. But certainly needed a more aggressive Austin Reaves, and yesterday was. And listen, and maybe part of that has to do with the fact that LeBron wasn't there. I know a part of the conversation today is also going to be the Lakers going 9-2 in games where LeBron doesn't play and Luka and AR do play. 9-2. That's a really good record, obviously, without LeBron James. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that will have angles this morning saying that, are the Lakers better off with LeBron? You know what? This is exactly the example. Bring LeBron off the bench, play him less minutes. We'll get into it. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I have a solution to all of this, but I know yesterday when that game ended and ABC threw that stat up, ESPN threw that stat up that basically said, hey, here's their efficiency, their net efficiency. Here's what they look like when LeBron's not there, when those two players are playing together. And then the Lakers coming off a signature win against the Knicks. Of course, it's going to be a conversation. We'll talk about that as well. Luke Kennard continues to deliver. Jake LaRavia, I've heard a couple of people in these last couple of games saying they're concerned about Jake LaRavia. I'm going to tell anyone concerned about Jake LaRavia, stop worrying about Jake LaRavia. He's Jake LaRavia. Relax. It's not that big of a deal. Lakers will be fine whether Jake LaRavia is airballing threes which reminds me of my days, or if Jake LaRavia is all over the basket playing defense and grabbing offensive rebounds, which is really what Jake LaRavia is supposed to be. Changing the narrative has more to do. You guys see one of my topics here on this side is changing the narrative. That has more to do with the conversation about the upcoming week for the Lakers, starting with Minnesota, and how the Lakers can continue to change the narrative. The only way they're going to do it is by obviously beating good teams. NBA news, weekend recap, and then we're going to call it a day. So I appreciate you guys all being here. I got to turn one thing off. All right, I'm back. Here in the studio today, so got a little heater here. It's like 94 degrees. We're good. I don't think I need it anymore. Had to turn that thing off. All right, let's get a couple comments in before we start the show. Again, shout out to everybody that's here. Please do me a favor. If you're here all the time, awesome. If you're not here all the time, all good. If you can please subscribe to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. And then also just a quick plug as well. We do a member show, MVP members. We do a member show every Friday at 10 a.m. So if you can consider being a member, that'd be awesome. Great way to support the channel, and it costs $3 a month. Just hit that join button, and you could become a member as well. So plug those in here real quick and go from there. All right, let's see what we have here. Al, you have to call it a barometer game. Yeah, that's my line. So don't start trying to take credit for a barometer game. I've been calling them barometer games since 88. 1988 is when I coined that phrase, barometer game. Lakers were playing the Sonics. All right, maybe I'm making it all up. Knicks would be a play-in team in the West. People make such a big deal about them. I'll tell you why people make a big deal about the New York Knicks, because on paper, they got a really good team. I thought coming into this season, I thought the Knicks will be that's the team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think that anymore. Partially because Celtics are really good. Obviously, Pistons have got off and have the best record in the Eastern Conference. We'll see. I think they've lost 4 games in a row. But Knicks are a good team. They got to really – listen, don't forget, they just literally beat Denver by 39 on Friday night after the Lakers lost to Denver and then end up beating the Indiana Pacers. So I don't think they're trash. I think they're a good team. I think yesterday they were awful, but, is what it is. It's one game. Love seeing big win yesterday, but now thinking about them without LeBron playing. You're not the only one. I think there's a lot of people that definitely are going to have that conversation today. I joked about it yesterday in the post-game show. I joked right after the game, like, ABC, can you wait on that stat? I mean, of course, that was going to get everybody buzzing about the Lakers status or what it looks like when LeBron's not there. It will be a conversation. Let's just put it that way. And whether I'm trying to kind of argue against it or not, or whatever the case is, it will definitely be a conversation. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you, everybody, for being here again, and looking forward to obviously crank out a solid hour plus on Lakers and the NBA. So let's just kind of go back to real quick, just because it happened as well. There was a game on Friday night. Lakers played the Pacers. So obviously Lakers getting 2 wins over the weekend. You beat the Pacers on Friday after you lost to the Nuggets on Thursday night. And then yesterday you get the win against the New York Knicks. So you can't really ask for too much more. I think for me, if you'd have asked me before the game started, if you said, what kind of game do you think this Sunday afternoon game against the New York Knicks, who are playing some pretty good ball right now, what's your prediction of what this is going to look like between the Lakers and the Knicks? Here's what I would have said. I would have said that, well, I think the Knicks will probably come out, be super aggressive. They'll probably try to throw the first couple of punches. They'll probably try to set the tone of they go up by 7-8 points by the end of the first quarter, and Lakers are playing from behind. The Knicks will kind of roll up their sleeves, blue collar, whatever it takes. Guys like Josh Hart hustling all over the place. They'll win the 50-50 balls. And probably by the time you get to the fourth quarter, Lakers are continuing to try to battle back, but it's not going to be enough. Knicks will win by 7, 8, 10 points, something along those lines. That's what I would have told you before the game. The script was completely opposite. And if I'm being honest, that did throw me off in yesterday's game. It was the Lakers that came out, had that 7, 8 point lead by the time the first quarter was done. It was the Lakers who were punching first and were wildly aggressive and were phenomenal on the defensive side. For literally 48 minutes, they were phenomenal on the defensive side. It was the Lakers setting the tone with steals, with block shots, with being more aggressive, with I never see the Lakers want to fight 12 rounds. Lakers were ready yesterday to fight 12 rounds. That's not Lakers basketball. That hasn't been Lakers basketball in a while. The Knicks had the third highest offensive rating in the NBA, and the Lakers held them to 97 points. They were 20 points below their season average. Knicks shot just 8 of 34 from the three-point line. Lakers forced 7 turnovers against the Knicks in the fourth quarter. They had 19 turnovers total. They were just the more physical team. And I think that's what probably threw me off yesterday more than anything else. I know how good the Knicks have been and what they look like in the Eastern Conference. And I know the Lakers' flaws. I did a show. We did 2 of them, actually. So on Friday, I was doing the show here. And CP, the franchise, who I brought on the show, is a Knicks. He's got a Knicks YouTube channel. Phenomenal job. I mean, he's done a tremendous job covering Knicks basketball, obviously based out there on the East Coast. And him and I were talking about the game. And then I went on his podcast on Saturday. Again, we're previewing the game. Everything I basically said about who the Lakers are, they don't want to go 12 rounds. They're not the aggressors. They're not this. They look like a completely different team yesterday. So watching them and seeing them get that win, I thought was critical. I thought was important. And, if I'm being completely real, it took me by surprise. And if anybody else out there was like, no, I knew that was going to happen. I knew the Lakers were going to do what they did. You're lying. Okay? You're a liar. No, maybe you did have that prediction and maybe you thought that was going to happen, but I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that I could have predicted what happened yesterday. JJ Redick postgame said something that I want to play for everybody because I think he's right about what he said, but he did kind of make a caveat to fans and how media should feel after yesterday's game. Let's take a quick listen here because I want to play this from JJ Redick, and I'll probably have the opposite of what he said, but in regards to how somebody should feel about yesterday's game, here's JJ's response.
I'm not in a position where I can overreact. I let you guys do that. Fans, rightfully so, should always overreact. It's what makes fandom so awesome. I know as a kid growing up as a Duke fan, I cried after every single Duke game. Yeah, Dean Smith cut it. I cried after every Duke game they lost. Like I was an overreactor. My job is not to overreact. We're 15-9 in our last 24. We're a top 10 offense, a top 15 defense. Like that's what we wanted to be coming into the season with this group, and that's where our group is right now.
JJ does not have to overreact. He shouldn't overreact. He's the head coach. Obviously, his role for the Lakers is not to overreact. His role, more than anything else, is to kind of be calm, cool, and collected. And, as a head coach, can't get too high, all that stuff. I get it. That's all player talk. That's all coach talk. I'm going to overreact because I haven't had many games that I can overreact to when it comes to Lakers basketball, when it comes to the Lakers this year. So I don't walk away from yesterday's game saying, it's just a regular win on a Sunday afternoon. Lakers have not had any signature wins in a really long time. Guys, I got to go back to the Lakers beating teams that aren't healthy. I got to go back to the Lakers beating the Philadelphia 76ers. Is that a signature win at home? Of course it's not. I had Trevor Lane on the show last week. This guy went all the way back to October 29th and said that's the last signature win that the Lakers had. I'm like, October 29th, did the season even start? I think it was preseason. We might as well start calling signature wins in the preseason. That's how long it's been since the Lakers have had a really good quality win against one of the top-tier teams in the NBA. And whether you guys want to put the Knicks there or not, whether you want to give the Lakers credit or not, I'm going to give them that credit because the Knicks can be in the NBA Finals And for a team that has struggled so much against good quality teams, I will overreact to that game yesterday. Now, can that all change tomorrow? Sure. When they take on Minnesota, it's an 8 p.m. tip-off. Post-game show will start at 3 a.m. If of course it can all change. And we'll talk a little bit more about that narrative, but he should not overreact. But I'll overreact for 24 hours. And then the Lakers will get ready to play Minnesota tomorrow, and then we'll forget about this game for a second. But we might reference back to it because for at least one game, we saw a quality win against a quality opponent. Okay. Couple other layers to last night's game that I want to get to as well. By the way, something JJ said. 15-9 in our last 24. Top 10 offense and a top 15 defense. He said that's what we wanted coming into the season with this group, and that's where our group is right now. All right. So I think what he's saying is trending in the right direction. This is what they want it to be. Clearly, their identity is offense. If he's saying they want it to be a top 10 offense, and that sometimes just has to do with your personnel. If you got Luka and Austin Reaves and LeBron James, I'm sorry, you're going to be more of an offensive team than you are going to be a defensive team. And clearly, they're leaning into that as they should. But 15-9 in their last 24, top 10 offense and top 15 defense. Last night was cool. Yesterday was cool. If I'm doing a post-game show tomorrow and Lakers lost by 15 to the Minnesota Timberwolves, then the Knicks game really won't matter. It will be kind of a game on an island. If they beat Minnesota tomorrow, now you have, all right, that's 2 games here in a row where you took on quality opponents. I don't think the Knicks are going to win a championship. I also don't think Minnesota's going to win a championship, but I also don't think the Lakers are going to win a championship. So I know what their ceiling is as well. But at least you can kind of start getting your fan base a little bit more excited. And at least you could have people start talking about the Lakers just with a little bit different of an angle rather than, well, they just can't beat a team over 500. So what's the point of having this conversation if they just can't consistently beat a team over 500? All right, something else happened yesterday that I want to lean into as well. Austin Reaves yesterday. So Reaves, to me, I continue to have this conversation. And by the way, after this, we'll get into LeBron. We'll talk about his injury status, and then we'll get into probably the biggest story coming out of yesterday's game is the Lakers now 9-2 when LeBron doesn't play with Luka and AR. Austin Reaves, I think it's such a critical point of his career right now. He's got just under a quarter of the season left. I think the Lakers have now 19 games left on the season. I mean, we're about a month away from the regular season ending. And I think it's such a critical stage for Austin Reaves for a number of different reasons. If the Lakers are going to win one round in the playoffs, not asking for much, they're going to win one freaking round in the playoffs. Austin Reaves has got to be, if he's not the second best player on the team, well, him and LeBron better both be carrying their weight if they're going to win one round. And when I say carrying their weight, and I'm going to talk just about Austin Reaves here, I think LeBron, we obviously know who LeBron is, and you'll get good versions out of LeBron, you'll get bad versions out of LeBron, just kind of depends. And obviously for a 41-year-old, that's just where he is in his career. We'll leave it at that. But I think the Austin Reaves piece is the Lakers are desperate for a really, really good Austin Reaves. Desperate for him. Austin Reaves is also entering a stage of his career where by the time this next 30 days is up, plus whatever that postseason looks like for Austin Reaves, it could determine a lot for him in his future. I don't know how much money he's going to make in the offseason. I know it's going to be generational wealth and he'll never have to worry about money, nor will his kids ever again. But how much he's going to get might be based off of what he does over the next month and a half, 2 months. Let's call it 2 months. If the Lakers are going to make any noise, a lot of the conversation is all going to be about Austin Reaves. I did some videos yesterday or last week, and we spent a little bit of time on this. We were talking about how I said that I think Austin Reaves is just too unselfish. There's games that I watched last week, specifically against Denver and also against the Indiana Pacers, where I wouldn't even look at the ball. I would just look at Austin Reaves. I'm like, where is this guy? Where is he? Where is he going on offense? When Luka's got the ball, what's he doing? When LeBron's got the ball, what is he doing? Obviously, LeBron didn't play against the Pacers. And it was just a waste. It's like, this dude is so talented, did everything he did earlier in the season, and the Lakers just got this guy sitting in the corner. What a waste. And if you're JJ Redick or if you're Luka Doncic, I don't care how good Luka is. Every great player needs other great players around him. You're going to have times where you're like, I need a breather, I need a break. You're going to have times where you're like, can somebody else drive this thing? Clearly, Austin Reaves has the capability of doing that. Pre-game yesterday, I got a chance to ask JJ Redick, and I'll just tell you guys real quick what that question was. The overall, what's the proper way to put it? I don't even have the right word for it. Basically, just asked him, is Austin being too unselfish, or is this what you guys want from him? And I think his response was basically something to the effect of, we know he could be more aggressive. They have to do a little bit better of a job getting him to be aggressive, but they want him to be himself. The problem with Austin Reaves being himself is I think he is a little bit more of a passive player. I think he does look at Luka Doncic and he looks at LeBron James and he has the utmost respect for both of these players. I think he is trying to do the right things. I think he does want to win. I think all of these things, he's trying to be a good teammate. That doesn't help the Lakers right now. There aren't too many players in the NBA that you say to yourself, we need you to be more aggressive. We need you to be more selfish. Selfish is not a word you have typically in team sports. Austin Reaves needs to be a little bit more selfish for the Lakers. The Lakers are a better version of themselves when Austin Reaves is a better version of himself. And I don't think Austin Reaves can be the best version of himself sitting in a corner, getting the ball with 8 seconds left on the shot clock because Luka was dribbling for the first 15, 16 seconds. I think there are obviously ways to get Austin Reaves involved, and that's going to be so important. I got this this clip from Luka post game that I want to play real quick, and he's talking about Austin Reaves. And the reason why it's important to me, because forget what a fan says, forget what I say, forget what JJ Redick says. The best player on the floor every single night that the Lakers play is Luka Doncic. And Luka's also, for the most part, he clearly was yesterday as well, every time he plays, he's probably the best player on the court for both teams. So for both squads. With that in mind, take a listen here real quick. Here is Luka post-game talking specifically about Austin Reaves and clearly how important he is to this team. Take a listen.
I mean, it's just great being his teammate, and obviously he needs to be aggressive like this, but just, play with him is so easy because he draws so much attention, helps others too. So just playing with him, it makes my life easier.
It's up to just great. It's can I get Luka? I'm in the middle of talking. The guy interrupts. I mean, he got his point across. Here I am now ready to talk, and then he wants to talk again. I will say this. I will say when he says it makes his life easier, it makes the entire team, obviously everybody's life easier when Austin Reaves is that type of a version of himself. 25 points. He was aggressive. I like what JJ said post-game. He said something to the effect of, sometimes you could be aggressive and you take that word, you're aggressive just on the defensive side, but he's got to be aggressive on offense, play a little bully ball, try to kind of get some contact, get to the free throw line. But something Luka said right there, and I think part of this has to do with Luka, part of this has to do with JJ Redick as well. They got to also encourage him and put the ball in his hands. Luka's probably not a guy, it's just not in his DNA to give up the ball and to say somebody else can do something that's better than what I can do. But I think it's also going to be important for Luka at times to say, Reaves, go to work. We're not going to be as good unless you're going to work. So it was nice to see Austin Reaves actually have a good game. He was good yesterday. He was really good yesterday. His stats were solid for the Lakers. You felt his presence. Finally, for the first time in a while, it also looked like he had a little bit of rhythm to his game, which he hasn't had in a long time. And he still misses a lot of shots. And the funny thing is, I don't even think yesterday, I think if he had maybe a more typical game that Austin Reaves has earlier in the season, probably had 30 plus yesterday off the same amount of shot attempts. So good overall win, and also great to see Austin Reaves play some phenomenal basketball yesterday. So I want to give him some credit from that perspective. All right, we got a lot of comments here. I'm sure people want to 18 games left, by the way. 18 games left so far on the season. By the way, that video, last one, that was Lojo Media, which is Lauren Jones. She does a great job. She's been on the show before, so grabbing that clip from her there. Okay, so let's start looking at some of the comments. I'm sure people want to give their opinion, their thoughts on what we've talked about so far, and then I want to do some LeBron conversation. Before I do so, of course, we're going to give some love to our partners. Let's start out with Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Injured in a car accident, wrongful death case, serious injury. I hope nobody ever needs Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, but things do happen in life. And unfortunately, there are going to be times where you will need an injury attorney, and you probably just need somebody for guidance. You need somebody to point you in the right direction. And I highly, highly encourage you guys to reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. You can just go to the website that we created, the URL that we created, which is wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to the website, very, very easy. You get a free consultation, fill out the entire form, and somebody from the Wallace Firm will reach out to you. He's a big Laker fan. He's also a big fan of this channel, has supported the channel. So I would love for any of our listeners to also support his business if you need him. Again, this is not a hard sell. This is just if something comes about and you feel like, all right, I got to get with somebody that understands the business and the industry. You got the best in the business that can help anybody in the state of California. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Again, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm for being such a phenomenal partner. All right, let's take a look at this. See what some of the people are saying. I hate watching bad basketball. It's a complete waste of time. The Knicks were 35-82 from the field. There are times I think I could watch a game. There are times I'll watch an NBA game and I could say one team just sucked on the other side. And plenty of times I might say that about the Lakers. It's my job. I got to be honest about it. There's other times where I could tell you the Lakers were giving the Knicks a lot of fits. Don't get me wrong. The Knicks were awful yesterday. Specifically, I thought in that fourth quarter. I thought they were really, really bad in that fourth quarter. The amount of turnovers, 19 turnovers, I don't really know what they were doing enough. Lakers went through a stretch where they couldn't hit a shot in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks, every opportunity in front of them, turnover after turnover. But here's the thing that I pay most attention to. The closest the Knicks got, I want to say, was 10. So the Knicks go on this run. At one point, they're down 23. Here they come. Brunson's finally hitting a couple of shots. Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby with a couple, whatever the case is. After all of that, the dust settles. The closest the Knicks got to was 10. Lakers dominated the Knicks yesterday, period. There's no other conversation. They dominated the Knicks. I was driving yesterday after the game. I was driving back down to San Diego, and I gave a listen to the Knicks post-game show, which, again, is the same person I was talking about, CP the Franchise, who was doing his show on his Knicks YouTube channel. And they were just, talking about how bad the Knicks were and what is Jalen Brunson doing. And they were specifically talking about late in that fourth quarter. I heard them just kind of breaking down. They spent a lot of their effort on how bad Knicks were and how many opportunities that they had. I mean, look, could the Knicks have made it a closer game if they hit a couple of those shots in the fourth? Sure, they absolutely could. But the Lakers took a 23-point lead on the Knicks. So I got nothing but praise for the Lakers in yesterday's game, and I've done enough post-game shows to know when a team deserves credit and when a team doesn't. Yesterday, the Lakers deserved credit. All right, let's get some more comments in here. All right, let's see what we have here. John, thank you for the 10 spot. Appreciate that. I think people quote me now. Thank you for the super brother. And I just see those quotes in there, and it just says Sliwa. Yeah, that's kind of my line there. I didn't know that it was programmed in my head, but it is a little programmed in my head. So thank you for the super, brother. Not to diminish the win, but in the past week, the Knicks played the Spurs, OKC, and then in Denver on the altitude, and an early game on the West Coast the day the clocks went forward. Bad spot, but AR was great. I don't think you're wrong here, by the way. I was listening to JJ, I think postgame, talk about how it's so difficult to play in Denver and then play a second of a night tonight back in LA. So I think he was referencing a little bit of that as well. And then he was talking about the turnaround for the Lakers to then obviously go ahead and play the Knicks in a day game as well. I don't think it was ideal for either team. And whatever circumstance you want to look at, and if you want to say, well, the Knicks were in a tougher position because of A, B, C, and D, that's fine. But they can't beat good teams, and they finally beat a good team. So whatever scenario that you want to put, I'll tell you this, the Knicks weren't playing a second of a back-to-back. The Lakers also had to play in an early game. The Lakers also had to play. The Knicks didn't have to play 3 games in 4 nights. The Lakers did because Lakers went Denver. They went Indiana, and then they played the Knicks. The Knicks just had 2 games in 4 nights. Lakers had 3 games in 4 nights. So there's some truth to, I think, what you're saying. I'm okay with that, but I think at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters. I think it was just much more important for the Lakers. Great win yesterday. Now build on it and beat Minnesota tomorrow to prove it's a prove-it league. Go show it wasn't a fluke. I got nothing to say to that. I got nothing to say to that. I think you're 100% right there. Slee, like the new look graphics. Still cleaning some stuff up, but thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not sure about this font here. I'm not that crazy about the font here, but we'll figure that out. I like how I just tell you guys everything I like and I don't like about my own personal stuff. I'm just being honest with everybody here. True Laker fan celebrates the victory. We won because everybody stepped up their game. Not going to disagree with that one. All right, let's get another one here. Everyone in the chat, smash the like. Do we have to say smash the like button? Can't they just hit the like button? Can't you gently just subscribe to the channel? I never understood the smash thing. Just gotta smash that like button. Smash it, man. All right, let's keep going here. I got another topic, and I think it's probably the biggest topic that came out of yesterday's show. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to hit on this. Let me just actually see one more thing here. A lot of other people on the Reaves stuff. So how does one good game change what Reaves has been since he came back? Now folks are cherry picking for narratives. It doesn't change. Just like, it's actually a really good comment here. I like this, and then we're going to talk LeBron. The Lakers beating the Knicks does not change their narrative, but it at least gives them something to work with. Austin Reaves having one good game, because he has not played, I don't think he's played well in 10, 12 games. I mean, since he came back from his injury, I don't think he's played well. And I don't know if it's something mentally. I don't know if it's, well, you're playing with LeBron and you're playing with Luka Doncic, so he just naturally says, well, I'm playing with 2 legends in the game. I'm the third wheel here, so I'm going to go further and further away from where the ball is. I can't tell you, but here's what I will tell you. You win a game against the Knicks, it doesn't change the narrative. You have one good game if you're Austin Reaves, it doesn't change his narrative. But I'm supposed to react after every single game. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Austin Reaves deserves credit for yesterday's game, but it's not going to change his narrative. If he comes back tomorrow against Minnesota, just like we were talking about with the Lakers, and has 15 points and shoots, 6 of 15 from the field and has 3 free throw attempts, then I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing today, which is be critical and be objective about what he was able to accomplish or what he wasn't able to accomplish. I don't think it's a coincidence that Reaves had a good game and the Lakers beat the Knicks. I don't think it's a coincidence. And I think you're going to see more of this. The better Austin Reaves is, the better chance Lakers have of beating good teams. The worse he is, then it becomes that much more of a strain on guys like Luka and everybody else. And then you start talking about all these other players that, frankly, you're not depending on to be an Austin Reaves type of player. All right, that's it. Everybody stop commenting here. I got to move on. I got another topic. We got to keep things moving here. I'll come back to more of this Austin Reaves stuff, but I think that's a very fair conversation. And I think that comment, I think you could put the Lakers win over the Knicks and how Austin Reaves performed against the Knicks both in the same category. That conversation can change for both sides starting tomorrow if there isn't 2 wins in a row against 2 teams over 500. If there isn't 2 games in a row that Austin Reaves looked more like himself. And the beauty about tomorrow's game against Minnesota, that was the team that I think got Laker fans so discouraged about Austin Reaves, is because what Minnesota did to Austin Reaves in the playoffs, and obviously what the Timberwolves did to the Lakers as well in the postseason. All right, I got a question for everybody here. Just take a sip of my tea. It's good tea. It's good tea right there. Ginger tea. It's the real stuff right there. Here's my question. I'm going to throw a couple stats out here for everybody. And based on these stats, I want to get everybody's opinion. All right. So we know the storyline yesterday. LeBron did not play in the game. By the way, I was kind of shocked that he didn't play. Really was. I just expected, it's a nationally televised game. It's the New York Knicks. LeBron had missed the game against the Indiana Pacers. It just felt like strategically for the Lakers, LeBron's missing this, or LeBron's going to play against the New York Knicks because why the hell wouldn't he play? The fact that he missed yesterday's game is a little bit concerning. Missed a second straight game with a left elbow contusion, left foot arthritis. Malika Andrews reported that on the ABC broadcast, that it probably had more to do with his foot than it did his elbow. His elbow injured his elbow in the game against the Denver Nuggets. And then, but yesterday for him not playing, and was out there warming up and everything else, but left foot arthritis, which is why he didn't play. Concerns me a little bit because I do think there's something to that. I think that just the mere fact that he didn't play in a game, everybody just assumed he was going to play, and it was a Knicks, and it was nationally televised. That means LeBron genuinely couldn't play yesterday. So there's a little bit of concern there. We'll see if he's able to go in this upcoming game against the Timberwolves tomorrow. There's a stat that ABC put up. Lakers are now 9-2 when LeBron sits and Luka and AR play. By the way, let me also point this out. 3 of the wins that they have out of those 9 games, or the 9 wins, 11 games, Spurs, Timberwolves, and the New York Knicks. Now, granted, the Spurs and the Timberwolves game was early in the season, but I'm going to set this narrative up one more time. Lakers are 9-2 when LeBron sits and Luka and AR play. 3 of the 9 wins have come against the Spurs, the Wolves, and the Knicks, and I will probably tell you those might be the best 3 wins that the Lakers have this season. And I'm not BSing. They might literally be the best wins that they have. Okay, so what do we do with that stat? If I add a little bit more context to it, Lakers are 11-6 when LeBron, Luka, and AR are all playing together. They're 3-3 when it's just LeBron and AR, and then 9-2 when it's Luka and AR. What do I do with that stat? Because I'm going to get plenty of people that are on this chat that are going to say, see, Al, you got to play LeBron less. It's good if LeBron is out. Got to bring LeBron off the bench. And then I'm going to have other people that say, which I'm probably going to be more on the camp of, they need LeBron for this season. Guys, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that they need LeBron past this season. I think the thing I really, I look at and I pay attention to is then maybe there's something there with Luka and AR that's better than I thought. Maybe when they do build a team in this summer around Luka and AR, maybe some of that narrative and the ceiling for the Lakers can change if you pull LeBron out of that lineup and you use some of his money to obviously go after other resources. Now, all of a sudden, do you potentially have this team in the Western Conference that they now have a different ceiling than they may have today while LeBron's on that roster. I'm down to listen to all that. Let's say it's not a small enough sample size. If you told me they were 4-2 when LeBron doesn't play, I'd say, all right, that's a really small sample size. 11 games is a decent sample size. 9-2 is a decent sample size. So what do I do with that stat? Are they just better? If LeBron's not there, are the Lakers better? Is that the argument that people want to make? And as I try to do the show live here, and I try to think in my head, it makes me curious. The stat is interesting. I think this is what it probably tells the most of as far as what I can take away from that stat. If you have two stars in, and I don't even know if we want to use, stars as I think we throw that word around so loosely. But here's the biggest thing that I probably take away with that stat. Luka, LeBron, and AR together, not that good together. It creates so many different holes, and it also creates so much that there's too many duplicate roles. Well, LeBron needs the ball. Well, Luka needs the ball. Well, then what about AR? Or AR needs the ball. Well, are you sure you don't want the ball in Luka's hands? Well, what's LeBron's role then? I think what it says to me more than anything else is having those three players in a game at the same time is not the most effective lineup that you can throw out there. Guys need to play a role. I thought yesterday, and is the reason why AR was more aggressive, was it simply because LeBron wasn't there? Is that the reason why? Was it because he can be a better version of himself? I'm not worried about Luka, and I think Luka, no matter who he's playing with, Luka's going to get his shots. The ball's going to be in his hands. The Luka piece of it, if there's one thing I will say, I'd like to see Luka try to find ways to get AR as involved because like Luka said in his own quote, he makes the game a lot easier and probably makes the game a lot easier for Luka Doncic. The biggest thing I will say is that with this, guys, I think played a more natural role yesterday. Rui played a natural role in that starting lineup when LeBron wasn't there. Marcus Smart obviously knows his role. DeAndre Ayton knows his role. And I thought Austin Reaves knew his role yesterday as well. And he's not necessarily a role player, but understood his role. I think by not having LeBron in there, you did see that. And then I think you got, obviously just a ton of guys that come in, whether it's Jake LaRavia or whether it's Luke Kennard. There's guys that have energy, guys that Vando understands his role. And I think it simplified things for the Lakers a little bit. Do I think the Lakers need LeBron? Yeah, for the rest of this season, I think they need LeBron. Do I think with or without LeBron, Lakers are going to the Western Conference Finals? No, I don't believe that. So they already have their ceiling. I think we all kind of know that. At least it appears that they are. Maybe a first round, maybe win in the first round, and probably nothing further after that. I think most people would agree with that, that assumption of what their ceiling is. But I'm walking away asking myself, 9-2 record without LeBron. I don't think it's as simple as saying, well, they're just better without LeBron. And the less you have LeBron in the lineup, the better shot they have of making a deep run in the playoffs. I think with or without LeBron, they have a ceiling. And it's either the first round or it's the second round. It ain't going to be too much far after that or too much further after that. But it's an interesting stat. 9-2 is 11 games. 3 of those wins against the Spurs, the Wolves, and the Knicks. And I think it says something about everybody kind of understanding their role when you don't have 3 players like that in the starting line, which is why I keep saying I would bring LeBron, I would bring AR off the bench. And, I've said this before and people will say, well, why would you bring him off the bench? Don't you want him playing with Luka? I want AR to be kind of the focal point on offense and have the ability to facilitate. And he's just not going to get that with Luka Doncic and LeBron on the floor together. Is there a world where do you bring LeBron off the bench? I guess maybe. First off, I don't think it's going to happen, and I think LeBron's probably more useful with the starters and less useful coming off the bench. I think AR could be more useful with some of the bench players and still get his 30, 35, 32 minutes a game, whatever he needs. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments. Let's get people's opinion on this. and go from there. Let's see. So I gave up the Lakers for Lent. You provided the updates I need. I got you, brother. I got you. Sign of the cross, and then you're good. Now you can go. He's just leaving mass here. Austin is bad against any team that tries on defense. Okay. By the way, I think these comments are going to be all over the place. These comments, I think, are going to be all over the place. And I think they're going to be all over the place because people just have this such a, a strong opinion when it comes to LeBron. So I think that part is safe to say. I don't think people will be too surprised off that. Get his old ass off my team. All right. Tell me your real opinion. Not ready to say we're better without LeBron. However, we play different without LeBron. Okay. I'm okay with that. I think there's also, like I said, there's more of a natural role for everybody. Can we all just say that? I think that's the thing. If we're all going to agree on something, whether better with him, whatever the case is, I think what we can all agree with is having two of those three players in a game will allow everybody else to kind of play in their role and define their role. I talked about this before. You can have three really good players on a team together. But if the pieces don't fit, if Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker are all on the same team together, if the pieces don't fit, it doesn't matter the talent that you have because they can get rid of KD and they could get rid of Bradley Beal and then end up with Dylan Brooks and Devin Booker and Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen and all these other role players. And they're so much better of a team, even though their roster doesn't have as much talent as they had when those three players were on the team together. Just using that team as an example. Guys got to fit. The puzzle pieces have to fit. Is it safe to say that the Lakers' puzzle pieces, since they traded for Luka, don't fit at all? They don't fit. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you do have LeBron on the team, that he is 41 years old. And I think everybody is just waiting to properly build around Luka and most likely AR as well and go from there. All right, let's get some more here. The funny thing that I will say, somebody here saying, I'm a gentleman, I court the like button. Okay. Yeah, nobody has to smash it. Nobody has to smash it. You could just gently hit the like button and the subscribe button. Here's the one thing that I will say that is a little bit ironic. I get so many people. And I'll do this comment next because I think this is a fair one. I get so many people that tell me, Austin Reaves, he sucks. He's not that good. You can't do anything with Luka Doncic. Those two cannot, lead a team to a champ. By the way, I don't disagree with that. If those are your two best players, you're going to have problems, in my opinion. You still got to go out and get so many other pieces in order to really compete if that's your backcourt for the future. But I get so many people that tell me about how Austin Reaves, he's inconsistent. He's not that good of a player. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't work with Luka. You can't pay him this much money, this, that, everything else. And then yesterday, the moment that stat came up of 9-2 without LeBron, everybody's like, get rid of LeBron. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought everyone was bitching and complaining about Austin Reaves. And now there's one stat that goes to Luka and AR, and it's like AR is the greatest player again. Let's not forget how bad AR has been struggling. And I guess maybe the case is, well, is he struggling because he's going through, a tough stretch here? Is he struggling because he's playing with LeBron and Luka? Is he struggling because a lot of the times or the shots that could go towards AR is going towards LeBron? It's just how quick that narrative can change. All right, let me get a couple more in here. This is, I didn't even get into this one. Saying any team is better without the GOAT is disrespectful. Yeah, you got to ask the question of, I think if you don't respect what LeBron has done in this league and you don't respect how good of a player LeBron has been over 23 years, then I just don't think you know basketball. And or you know basketball, but you're letting your own ego get in the way of one of the greatest to ever do it. And one of the greatest to ever do it in the sport, and one of the greatest athletes we've ever watched. But to say that a team might be better without a player in his 23rd season in the NBA with this much mileage, with this much minutes, I don't think that's crazy. I mean, if I threw this question to everybody, are the Lakers better off with LeBron next season, or are they better off without him? I think a lot of people would say they're better off without him. Is that disrespecting one of the greatest to ever do it? Kobe, towards the end of his career, couldn't do anything. Was a shell of himself until he decided it's the last game in my career. I'm going to drop 60. But is it disrespectful to say Kobe wasn't good in his 20th season? No, it's the truth. That doesn't take anything away from what Kobe did in the past. It just has to do with the saying of Father Time never loses. This is what LeBron-less Lakers can look like pending their addition of another star for next season. What star will fit best with Luka and AR and Ayton, assuming Ayton picks up his option? I don't know if they'll be able to get another star with AR on the team, as in if you're going to go trade for Giannis, obviously you're trading for Giannis and you're using AR and draft picks and everything that you have to go do that. But I think what you can do if it's Luka and AR is just put together a good team. Pieces that fit. That's all. Puzzle pieces have to fit. And, you know, a roster full of names doesn't mean you're a good team. A roster full of, hey, that piece fits well there, this guy complements that. That's when you start telling yourself, all right, I think we got something here to work with. So I don't think there's another star coming, but we'll obviously have to worry about what happens once we get to the offseason. All right, so I think the question about better with LeBron, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think we answered it. And I don't think there's an answer for it. I'm not taking one game against the New York Knicks and saying that's it, they're better off without LeBron. The 9-2 record is a very interesting record. That's an interesting record. Let's put it this way. If they get, let's say he comes back tomorrow and they play against Minnesota and they lose by 15, all right, I'm ready to have that conversation again. Let's say he doesn't play against Minnesota tomorrow and Lakers win by 15, I'm ready to have that conversation again. But whatever success that they had earlier in the season, because I'm pretty sure most of those wins they were stacking up earlier in the year because LeBron missed the first 14 games. I think yesterday might have been his 20th game that he's missed. I need a little bit more. Show me some stuff that's more current, because the Lakers also are not the team that they were when they were wildly successful earlier in the season and they got off to such a fast start. I think they were 15-4 to start. I know they hit 11, 12 games over 500 before they even got to 20 games in. They're not that team either. All right, good topic right there. Nice job, Al. Do you ever give yourself credit? I think I just gave myself credit right here. Really good work, Slee. Really, really good work. Big fan of your show, but I'm not subscribing. Not subscribing to your show, Slee. All right, shout out Harrah's Resort SoCal. Thank you for being a partner of this show. Looking forward to doing a broadcast there. Coming up on April 2nd, Lakers are at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and all of your asses are going to come make it out to Harrah's Resort SoCal, and I'm going to hook you guys up with special room rates for that night as well. I'm probably going to do some giveaways for that as well. All of you guys are coming out to the game for Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we're going to watch the game together. Then I'm going to do the post-game show right in front of everybody. And then I'm going to ask some of the listeners to come join me on the post-game show as well. All right? So I just kind of laid this all out for you, what's going on at Harrah's Resort on April 2nd. I'll promote it more as we go. If you're looking for a staycation, phenomenal place, North San Diego, within 1 to 2 hours of wherever you are in Southern California. Love this partnership. Part of it, I love it because I have a relationship with Harrah's. I've had a relationship with them for about 10 years or so. But the fact that they love what we're doing, they love the channel, part of my iHeart and my AM 570 partnership as well. So shout out to all parties that have helped put this thing together. It's a perfect place for a staycation, over 1,000 luxurious rooms. Like I said, North San Diego, Palomar Mountains. Beautiful drive out there as well, right off the 15, and then you kind of go on those side roads all through the mountains. It's gorgeous. Gordon Ramsay has a restaurant out there, Hell's Kitchen. Rita's Cantina, which overlooks the pool in the Palomar Mountains. Beautiful, perfect to go grab a nice margarita there. Maybe I did that last time I was there. And they also have Rincon Brewery, which got some really, really good beer. Mexican lager I cracked open in one of the post-game shows. So harrahsocal.com. If you click on the link in this description, there's also a link there to get 20% off when you book, if you book through us. We'd love to get the credit for it. We also want to hook you guys up with 20% off. All right, let's keep moving here. Some of these other topics, to be honest with you, I'm going to kind of fly through, but I'm going to point out a couple things that has gone over these last couple of games, and I'm going to give a little bit of credit here. Luke Kennard has completely changed everything from the Lakers from a three-point shooting perspective. Here's where the Lakers ranked before the trade deadline and after. Going into the Knicks game, Lakers were second in the NBA in three-point percentage since the NBA trade deadline. Obviously, they added Luke Kennard, who's the best three-point shooter in the NBA. Before, the Lakers were ranked 23rd. Since Luke Kennard has joined the team, Luka's three-point percentage has gone up 10%. Marcus Smart is up 7%, probably not after yesterday. I don't even need to read that stats. Marcus Smart was 1 of 10 from the field yesterday. But anyways, the biggest point to make here is Luke Kennard has completely changed the Lakers from a three-point shooting perspective. So it's just a phenomenal stat to see the Lakers second in the NBA in three-point percentage since the NBA trade deadline. It's not a huge sample size, but for the Lakers who have been struggling, that's obviously a big deal. Jake LaRavia. I see a lot of people starting to hit me up and say, Al, I'm a little concerned about Jake LaRavia. All right, I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to make you guys feel a little bit better about Jake LaRavia. Is he struggling from the field? Yes, definitely. His three-point shooting percentage in the month of March, I want to say he's 1 for 10, which I got to be honest with you. If I went out to a gym right now, if I went outside and took 10 threes, I'm going to have a better percentage than Jake LaRavia, which is not a good sign. So LaRavia's got to start hitting some threes. He's only 30% from the field. He has been struggling, no question about it. But here's why you should not worry about Jake LaRavia. It's not his job to score. His job is to do what he did. There was a possession yesterday. Off a miss, he grabs an offensive rebound, kicks it out. Same possession, another miss. I think Vando got it. He missed. Maybe it was Jackson Hayes, Vando, whoever got it. Another miss. And then Jake LaRavia cleans up the glass again and gets a bucket. Jake LaRavia is going to be known for the Lakers for doing two things. This is all I care about Jake LaRavia. Play defense, grab rebounds, just be a nuisance. Be aggressive. His offense, if his shot's struggling that much, stop taking threes. It's the best thing that I could say. I know that kills spacing in today's NBA. I'm not concerned about Jake LaRavia because Lakers did not get Jake LaRavia to hit threes and be an offensive weapon. They got enough offensive weapons. Be a headache on defense, crash the glass, and I'll take my chances with Jake LaRavia. So I don't think people should worry too much in regards to that. And we'll just kind of leave it there. Okay, the last thing that I want to get into, and as we kind of talk about a little bit of changing the narrative for the Lakers, is I know we talked a little bit about this, but I think there is something about this changing the narrative. And then I got a couple of things, NBA News Weekend recap, and we're going to call it a day. Yesterday was cool. Actually, let me play this. Let me play this clip from Charles Barkley. Okay. Barkley yesterday pregame was talking about the Lakers, and I don't think anybody needs to, this won't be a shocker. But here's how a lot of people feel about the Lakers, and I don't think, he's completely wrong in saying what he said. And yes, Charles Barkley is probably a hater of the Los Angeles Lakers. That's okay. I think that's a fair thing to say. But he's okay. I have no problem with Barkley saying this because there is a narrative that still needs to be changed in the Lakers, and it's only going to happen if they start beating these good teams, and they got some opportunities the rest of the week. Here's Charles Barkley talking about the Lakers pregame yesterday before Lakers Knicks.
The Lakers, we have to talk about them. We're contractually obligated to talk about how
They're only a game on the lost side out of the 4 spot.
We're not contractually obligated.
You're acting like they're the 9 or 10.
Charlotte. They're way better than Charlotte. They're way better than the Dream Team. How about that?
We're not contractually obligated. What are you talking about?
They're better than the Dream Team.
Not a good team. I know we have to act like they're a good team.
No, they're not a great team. They're a good team. Stop it.
They're solid.
Okay.
They're not a contender.
They're moving up the ranks even as we speak.
Shaq, are they a contender?
If they get home court advantage, yes.
On a Laker team.
All right. So that's I'm going to go back to saying this. You don't have to like Charles Barkley. I don't think you disagree with him. He said it. He said they're a good team. They're not a great team. He's right about that. It's pretty funny saying we're contractually obligated to have to bring them up. Well, Lakers are going to get you some clicks. They're going to obviously get views. Lakers are one of the few franchises in sports. Anytime you bring them up, people are going to be interested. But I think what he said ultimately at the end of the day is a very, very fair statement. They're a good team. That's it. They're a good team. Good team in the sense that their record is good. They got good players, great players in Luka Doncic, but they're also not a team that is competing for an NBA championship. And there aren't that many, by the way. It seems like the more I watch the Western Conference, it feels like there's only 2 teams in the West that are competing for a championship, and it looks like it's the Spurs and the Thunder. I don't think Houston's a part of that mix. Denver, I always thought if they can get healthy, but getting healthy seems to be a big question for them. That's the only team that I would say could be, could potentially offer the Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs a little bit of a headache if they're healthy. We'll see what happens. There are a lot of teams that are good, not great. Lakers fall into that category. The only way a narrative like Charles Barkley is going to change for him or anything else, again, not to go compete for a championship, but if they all of a sudden beat Minnesota tomorrow, and then they handle the Bulls coming up on Thursday, and then that Denver game, it's like, all right, now Lakers got the tiebreaker over Denver if they beat the Denver Nuggets, and they split in Houston. If you start stacking up some of these wins against teams over 500, we can have a little bit different of a conversation. But I don't think what Barkley said was wrong, and I think it's fair for a lot of people to question the Lakers because of the current narrative, and that narrative is something that the Lakers built for themselves, that they can't beat good teams. They did it yesterday against the Knicks. Now we'll see if they could kind of build off some of that momentum. So there's Charles Barkley giving his opinion. I think it's hilarious, if I'm being honest with you, every time Barkley talks. I find it very entertaining. I think some Laker fans take it so personal, but I don't think he's wrong. We could also be honest and just say, all right, well, if that's what it is, that's what it is. All right, a couple things around the NBA, and then we'll do the weekend recap like I mentioned, and we'll call it a day. Weekend recap, of course, is presented by, do I have the right one here? It's presented by the Wallace Firm. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. A couple things happened over the weekend. Jason Tatum came back. By the way, I think this is a clear indication. You got your favorite in the Eastern Conference, and to be honest with you, I have a difficult time even thinking it's close. The East is going to run through the Boston Celtics. The Celtics were already a really good team. Jason Tatum is back. Played, I think it was on Friday night he played. And then, was that against the Dallas Mavericks? It was. So Tatum had 15, 12, and 7 in his first game back of the season, 27 minutes of play against the Mavs on Friday night. And then yesterday, before the Lakers played the New York Knicks, the Celtics just dominated the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. He gets the Celtics get, both wins that Tatum comes back in. Tatum had 23 and 2. I think that was his stats yesterday. Played 27 minutes. So anyway, something to keep in mind here as you get ready for we get a little bit closer to the playoffs. What teams are playing phenomenal and what teams are struggling. Jamal Murray is listed as questionable against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Nuggets play the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, and this has kind of been the story of their entire season. They just can't stay healthy. There's nothing more to it. They just can't stay healthy. So with all that in mind, something to keep in mind as the Nuggets play the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. Listen, you got a couple of these teams that are taking L's. There's a lot of teams taking L's in the Western Conference. So I know there's a lot of Laker fans have been frustrated with the Lakers. Houston is struggling. Denver is struggling. Minnesota's had some inconsistency. Phoenix is dealing with some injuries. So there's a lot of teams struggling. Spurs yesterday dominated the Rockets 145-120. They're 15-1 in their last 16 games. And then the last thing here from a weekend recap that I just want to point out, Pistons lose their 4th in a row. They've lost to the Cavs, the Spurs, the Nets, and the Heat. The hell's going on with Detroit? What's going on here, Pistons? They're finally starting to sense a little or have a little bit of adversity. What is it now? Boston just 2.5 back of the Detroit Pistons for the best record in the Eastern Conference. All right, great stuff there. Great stuff there. Let's read a final couple of comments here, and then we're going to call it a show, but we certainly wanted to point out what was going on over the weekend and give everyone an idea of what games happened over the weekend. Okay, so what do we have tonight? Let me just see. Let's see the NBA scores tonight. Sixers and the Cavs, Nuggets and the Thunder. That game's on Peacock. And then the Knicks and the Clippers. That's right. Knicks got a second of a back-to-back. So those are going to be the games tonight. If you're looking for some NBA basketball, you got some options tonight. Got some options. 444 comments waiting. God, I love this channel. God, I love this channel. What a fun channel. All right, what's everybody? What's everybody fighting about here? Imagine LeBron with prime Shaq. Okay, where did this come from? It's Celtics, Thunder, or Spurs in the NBA Finals. I'm not running away from that. I think there's a lot of truth to that, if I'm being honest with you. LeBron is an opportunist, jumping from team to team with other top fives in their prime. All right, is that where we're going with the chat? Is that where we're going? What are we not giving? Kobe 5 rings. LeBron jumps. Okay, here's where we are. Well, it's good. I think we get one of these a month. One of these a month where we want to have a LeBron Kobe conversation for no reason, or if we want to demolish LeBron's career or his resume. Once or twice a month, that's going to happen. So, that's where we are. All right, let's see a couple more comments and then we're done. I'll let you guys fight. I'm getting out of this street fight. Chuck speaks honestly. Barkley is just a big-time hater in general. Yeah, he is. I think he's got some hater in him. That's okay. But there are times where I think he's being honest, and like I said, I think he's being honest in regards to this. Barkley is the foremost expert, not competing for championships. Going to take some shots. That's a shot you could always take at Charles Barkley. All right, everybody, I think we're done for the day. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Costs you nothing. Turn on that notification bell so that anytime we go live or we post a video, you get a heads up on that. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, thank you to all our members that are here. And if you want to consider being a member, it's $3 a month. Would love the support to the channel. John, quick shout out to you as well for that 10 spot earlier in the show. Thank you very much for doing that. And appreciate everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. I'll see you guys back tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 a.m. I should have Alan Horton on, who does the play-by-play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he should be joining us tomorrow, getting us ready for that game. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.